everybody. Welcome to Feedback for the week of December 20th. We are on the cusp of Christmas, and I've brought in three of my favorite elves. Okay. All right. Okay. Matt Kyle's here. Morgan Webb is here. And for the purpose of today's discussion, Princess Leia Jackson is here as well. Guys, I want to get right into the Star Wars stuff that we are going to be talking about later on. It is our game of the week. But right off the bat, the opening cinematics that we showed on X-Play, and we've now seen quite a few times. They premiered it actually at E3 this year. The best cinematics I can remember ever seeing, really. And that kind of begs the question, what is another one of your favorite in-game cinematics? Or not an in-game, but just a cinematic in general. Anything that you've seen?
I would go with the opening FMV to Soul Blade on the PS1.
God, you dig so deep, man.
Course,
You
right?
dig so deep. You were the Wikipedia
it looks terrible
of
now,
this.
That was
like,
the Matt Kyle answer to
Right.
that question.
for something that our viewers of age might remember. I always liked the I didn't like the games very much, but I always liked the opening of Resident Evil Code Veronica, where she gets held up and drops the gun and falls down and blows the barrels. That was a pretty cool John Woo-ish moment early in our gaming CG scene
Right.
era.
Man, you're well of knowledge, my friend.
I know I'm thinking way back to Gears of War 3. You know, I'm thinking Team 2, whatever, people. The closing cinematic of that game was both touching and awful at the same time, and it holds like a warm place in my heart because it is so ridiculous, but like kind of charming at the same time.
Okay.
But I don't want to spoil out. No spoilers.
No
so
spoilers.
No spoilers.
No, I my favorite cinematic was from Final Fantasy 13, and it was the one. It was when they're like coming back from Grandpa's, and they're all on their summons, and it's the entrance to some chapter, and they're just riding around on all their summons, and it's so awesome and action packed and just crazy.
There's
and
so
I love
many
it.
colors and motion blurs,
and it's like it's basically the opposite of what Matt said because like it's just like so much more upgraded and pretty now, and like that's like probably how you remember that cinematic being from
Oh no,
Soul Blade.
it looks terrible. I know.
But I don't know. That's what I just love that cinematic so much. And I asked a bunch of people, what are your favorite cinematics? And they all said like Final Fantasy VII and all this other, a bunch of other ganes. And I'm like, and then no one said the one I liked the most. And I also really liked Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. I think those games in and of themselves were very cinematic, and they kind of make my favorite
Shadow's
gaming
got a
cinematics.
great intro.
Yeah. So that's
And
what I
also,
liked.
Child of Eden has a really good opening cinematic, even though it's kind of a Pocky commercial, you know?
But
With the girl in the field, and you just feel like at the end she's going to say Pocky.
yeah.
But it's still like you still like her and you want to save her and you get drawn in despite yourself.
yeah.
I think, first of all, that's the first time I've seen or heard you say something that could possibly be perceived as negative about anything Final Fantasy.
No
Final
way.
Fantasy VII, I was kind of whatever about that. 13 is
did-
really my cinematic that.
Definitely didn't like Final Fantasy VII as much as I like 13.
As much as she said.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
I have to- I
see, I
have
did
to-
like it. It's
Final
just not as
Fan- yeah.
much.
I have to qualify.
But
it.
see, Final Fantasy VII kind of broke me of JRPGs for a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah.
Not something you hear often. A lot of ways
when
people
they
say that
finally
turned them on to
come out with the
JRPGs.
remake, I'm gonna play it. So
Does the remake exist? Like,
I
I think Square has tormented. You know, I'm not a fan of Final Fantasy VII, but Square has tormented the Final Fantasy VII fans for so many years. It's just not cool. Okay, it's like do it or
I know,
say you're not
it
doing
seems
it.
like
Stop.
Half-Life. Like
But
it
you
just
guys
do it
take
or
it.
Yeah, I know. We do.
Yeah.
Not well.
Benson, our producer Benson's like Michael Benson's like that. He's
Right.
a Final Fantasy fan, and he, and Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Come on, Kingdom
The
Hearts.
Versus 13 better be amazing because that's why we haven't gotten Kingdom Hearts 3 for.
But
like,
that's what
6
everyone
years.
said about Final Fantasy 13, and they didn't like it. But now they're coming out with 13 too, and it looks so much better than the first one.
Yeah,
You're that
Versus
tiny
13
part of us
I
that
know.
represents hope that most of us don't ever get to see.
You liked Final Fantasy 13.
I was like the person on X-Play that was like, I'm telling you guys, once you get past that first 25 hours, it gets really good. I
Everybody
understand
was like,
that that's
no, we're not going to
we
do
can't
it.
possibly invest, but when the
few
game does
people
open
did,
up,
the few
it's
people who did
fantastic.
get past that part were like, "Oh, this is
Abby,
awesome."
Abby liked it. Abby played it like to the end.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to get through that
put
first
definitely, like,
25 or
It's
so.
a
but
big
or more
ask.
hours.
Yeah.
It's a
It
big
is.
ask.
It
Like,
is.
I'll put up with 10 hours if people are like, it's the best, you just get through it. And I'm like, okay, I'll put up with like 10 hours, but 20, that's a big ask.
Yeah.
I just don't. To me, Final Fantasy, the pinnacle of Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy VI, And Final Fantasy 13 bears zero resemblance to that.
Right.
It's just you're walking down a corridor, going through cutscenes of like a B-list anime.
Yeah, that's
and
25
I
hours.
just
That's the first 25. The thing that
That's
kept me
also
going,
the
I
first
really
25 hours of Star Wars. So, just kidding.
I don't know, man. We will talk about that later on in the show.
I'm gonna say the guys who wrote SWTOR.
No, it's a joke.
I'm
It was a
gonna
joke. It was a joke. Come
Little
on.
tiny Hope Gnome over there. I'm telling you right now, this is definitely
Gnome?
Star Wars is definitely better.
Oh, God.
I will say that, and I don't know if it qualifies as a cinematic, but the end of the main quest of Skyrim, something happens around you, and it's not you can move around while it's actually
Dragons?
happening. Dragons are a part of it, but it's just it's this magical moment that it's not really a cinematic game because you can kind of move around in it, but it's just f***ing epic. And when you get there, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't gotten there yet, please hurry through the next 45 hours of the game, and then you can get there as well. It's great. But moving on to something that actually we don't really hear a lot about at the end of the year. Usually it's it's tallying game sales and what was good about 2011, but we actually had a lot of really big announcements leading into 2012 that have happened over the last week or so. And Morgan, you have got a list in front of you that has been provided for you with bullet points, and but there's some pretty interesting things.
I do love a bullet point.
Yeah, you've got a few there. But there's some pretty interesting stuff that's come out, and I want to start with The Last of Us, the zombie game, obviously from Naughty Dog. I want to talk about what you feel about that, what we feel about that, and then I want to talk about Viacom being and what they've done. Yes, Morgan, please.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, I do not, because I've played
Shocker.
this game 1,000 times before. I'm sure they're going to do a great job. I mean, I'm sure we like what Naughty Dog does. I've
And also,
played
this is a
game
new
before.
team, so we don't really know.
Oh, that's a good
Are they
point,
getting?
So I hate it even more.
Yeah.
I've
made it
seen
worse.
this game. I have played this game. I am just completely uninterested. Also, aren't we a little bit over zombies?
Yes.
Oh, I'm very much so over
Yeah.
zombies.
And
They're in
aliens.
every game. They're in Gears of War. They were in Resistance. Like every game needs like a few zombie levels.
Because
and
they're
I
the
just-
enemy everyone can agree on. Like, there's no one's going to like defend a zombie's right to.
No, but nobody's
shamble
going to
or-
defend the Locust, or no one's going to defend the Chimera either. It's
Right.
just like an enemy type, so you can kill a lot of enemies at a single time.
But like
I mean, that's the
zombies are
point of
handy
it.
because they don't automatically get you an M, but you're still fighting like humanoid enemy. I think that's what it is. I think it's like a you're not killing a person, so it's not as bad. I really think that's part of it.
And you also you're not going to polarize an entire consumer group because zombies aren't racist. They're not homophobic. They make no decisions. They will eat a black person just as quick as they'll eat a white person. They are not racist. They're not homophobic. They're not sexist. They're just things that you can kill. So there's no way that the enemy will ever offend a Christian group
But
or
can't they
anything
make
like
that? I mean, can't they make that anything?
Well,
Right.
it used to be Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
And we got
now
bored
it's
of
zombies.
Nazis,
Yeah.
and now I'm
Now we're
seriously-
bored of
Nazis.
seriously bored of
What would you rather
zombies.
have instead?
I would like to see them do another well-written, interesting game that was like their other games, or they could do like I don't know, a Jack and Daxter would be acceptable.
So looking forward to that, aren't you? It'll happen.
I am.
I don't
We
know.
speculated.
I
Yeah, I
have a
think it'll
precursor
happen.
egg at my desk.
She does,
Just so happy.
and we don't know where it came from. She just brought it with her.
I don't
It's
know.
from my
One
egg
day.
collection.
I just am personally not excited about it. You are apparently.
I don't know. I mean,
I feel exactly that way. I don't know.
I mean, I'll wait and see. It's a trailer. I'll wait and see what it plays like. Maybe there's some cool ideas in it. I mean,
I feel like that way about most of the games on this list.
yeah. I mean, there's also like, I mean, I thought Dead Island was kind of mediocre in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it's like it did have an effect on me in terms of how the hacking up of the zombies and the combat in that. Like, there was a satisfaction to that, to the point that I kind of miss it in Skyrim.
Right.
Like, I kind of wish you could do limb damage in Skyrim, and that's mainly because of Dead Island.
But
So
we don't know
you're gonna have
anything
to-
about the game, like based on the trailer,
No.
except for that it's zombies. So just based on the trailer alone, like when you saw the Dead Island trailer, were you like, "Oh my god, I have to play this game"?
Yeah, but for a different reason. 'Cause
So
I'm a
for The
sucker
Last of Us,
CG.
did
There's
you
a
think
cinematic.
that?
Yeah, the Dead Island cinematics are pretty good stuff.
I
don't
the
know.
only one
I
who
mean-
didn't like that cinematic.
I
You
didn't
don't like
it
that
either.
horrible rap
Ben-
song that offended on so many levels at the beginning of the game?
No, I don't know what to think of it yet. It's just like the zombies don't interest me. The jungle, it looks like the same kind of. It's just like I don't
feel like
know.
I've
I need to
played the
see more. I
game
need to see the
before.
E3 demo next year.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a survival horror game. We've all played those before. I think Dead Island, to your point, I stopped thinking of it as a zombie game, and I just started looking at it like the combat's fantastic in this. I like the upgrade systems. Some of the story is actually pretty neat, like the directions it's taking me in. But I personally, I mean, I don't care about protecting my daughter or niece or
Ellen Page.
Have they established whatever relationship they have yet? Have they talked about
but
that
I
at
will
all?
say part of the problem I have with it comes from like it's exemplified on the Naughty Dog Christmas card, which it's the guy and the little girl from The Last of Us coming into like this party tent with the Uncharted guys, and like Nate's on the couch with two girls, and they're like, whoa, like that, and they're like, hey, and I'm just like, these people are a lot more fun than the guy in the post-apocalypse with the little girl.
Right.
Like, it's like you just know that you're not going to have as much party time with
But
these
they
guys.
probably
No, those
all
are the people they
enjoy
avoid.
Subway.
Like, I just don't see a lot of witty banter going on. It looks like a more serious take on things, and we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, like they do story well.
Yeah,
so
they do.
the hope is that maybe they found a way, or they're going to try to find a way to take this genre that we've already experienced so much, and to your point, probably at this point is a little bit of overkill, and maybe they put a fresh spin on it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
And
my
maybe-
hope.
I mean,
This
it all
is-
comes down to gameplay anyway. I mean,
Well, also, like, this is if Amy Hennig's involved. I mean, she did epic drama, or I guess some would say melodrama, in the Legacy of Kain games very well. So if she's going to get back to sort of this post-apocalyptic, like, character journey thing that in this game, that it could be good. It's
Right.
been a while since we had that from her, so I'm not
I hate
going to.
children in games. So annoying.
You know what's more annoying than that?
What's
Than
that?
children in games?
What's that, Blair?
Would have to
Viacom.
be what Viacom did.
So tacky, right?
And to put things in perspective, basically Viacom had the trailer pulled off of YouTube because they said, you premiered this on our
trailer for
network.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, you premiered this on our network, which means that we own the rights. We know you made the game and wrote it and produced the cinematic, but we own the rights because you premiered it on our show. If that was the case, we would own everything. G4
You
would
imagine
have the rights
at E3, like trying to calculate the seconds of broadcast between the different networks, like who broadcast the Old Republic trailer, like
Yeah,
2
like who has
seconds
the
before
rights
the
to
other
that?
one, so it's ours.
But I mean,
Did they
No,
run
but
this one
I'm
by the legal
sure-
team or what?
I'm
who-
sure
who-
it was in the contract. I'm sure Viacom puts that in the contract.
But how does somebody like a Naughty Dog or Sony specifically overlook such a massive thing? Like they can't
They're either
now they can't
assured-
promote their game until Viacom says this is how we want you to promote your
Well,
game.
no, they'll have to make an entirely new trailer. They're either like either they say, "Oh, Viacom won't enforce that. That's just legalese, blah 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 blah," and so the companies feel like, "Oh, they're not going to enforce it. We still have ownership of our trailer," or they think that that's just part of it. I mean, MTV owned all those music videos that premiered on their station. I mean, there is precedent for this. I'm guessing it was in the contract.
Now, why did on the other end of things, why did Viacom, for lack of a better way to put it, why do they give a if the trailer's on YouTube or not?
Because it's theirs. Because now they own that. If they
Now
own
they
that
can make
content,
money from it.
Now they can make money from it.
You
Be
can
like,
only
"Oh,
go see it on their site or whatever. It's like this, just how it works. It's a weird thing. It's to me like it's weird to me that like Sony's lawyers would have read that and been like, no,
Right.
Like what? Because to me that's like slipping in a line in the contract. This is like, oh, by the way, we also own your car now.
Right.
Like it's just like
But
no one reads that.
But you're only going to be able to see that now in game trailers.
Right. But I mean,
know what I
how?
mean?
I mean,
And
in the
so-
grand scheme of things, like how do they monetize that 1 minute? Like why? Because this does set, like you said, a precedent for I think for their relationship now with Sony from here on out. Like, is Sony going to maybe think twice about premiering something ever on any of their networks ever again?
However, if the ratings and if the attention that this game gets is worth it, then they will make a trailer directly for them and give Viacom ownership of that trailer. It just Viacom needs to provide the viewership to make it worthwhile to them.
And to
And
my
they
understanding,
may.
without getting into it, the ratings weren't there. So I think right
Right.
now it is somewhat of a
not
loss.
on, not on the show, but the GameTrailers.com site itself
Sure.
does pretty damn well. So that might have worked out okay for them.
right.
But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. And I don't know. I don't understand why you would want to limit your press or your like promotional material to a certain audience. It's I understand like you get it first and then 2 days later it goes to everybody. I don't understand you get it first forever.
But we get stuff first forever. Like, we'll get exclusive footage that nobody else has, and we'll maintain that exclusivity forever. I mean,
Yeah, but that's not a premiere. Here's where you learn
No.
about the game trailer. Like, it's like yeah, we'll get gameplay for something which is which no one else has because they captured it for us, and that's cool. But I can't see like this is the only footage, the only existing video of this video game we've announced and want you to be excited about for next year. but we're only going to let you see it here.
Let's be
That's a very
real.
strange decision.
The video wasn't that good.
Because it has a kid in it, and I hate kids in games. And then from the web side of things, I mean, how is it kind of a disappointment for you to not be able to? I mean, you guys can't really do a ton of coverage on this thing because we can't show any video of it on our website.
Well, I mean, we can embed and we can still talk about the video and discuss it and break it down and do everything that we do on every single trailer that comes in pretty much. And Jake Gaskell's really taken head and kind of goes through a lot of the bigger trailers that come out and kind of dissects every single one. And that's what we can do online if that kind of exclusivity deals happen. And you can't get around it. So you might as well just work with what you have. And that's what, I mean, we've done with all of the, the recent announcements.
So would you link to it, or can you actually like embed it?
You can still embed it.
We can embed it.
Game trailer still gets the the view, but we can still
So we can't upload it to our servers
Right.
and then serve it ourselves. So we just
Right.
embed it instead.
and still talk about it and
Right.
So
Yeah.
that I mean it's the best we can do. We can choose not to show people it, but we do.
Right. Well, I mean, we're in a unique position in that, our numbers, our website numbers are going to do well regardless of whether or not we have that trailer. But I'm just thinking for a lot of, like these citizen journalists that we had that big discussion about a couple weeks ago with Garnett and Dan about this sort of thing. A lot of these kids that are trying to get their sites off the ground, this is some content that they would love to have on their
Yeah.
site. But when they get no hit credit for any of this stuff, like what's the incentive for them to do this?
But they're probably not serving their own video anyway
Right.
because it's too expensive. I bet they're embedding everything.
Yeah,
Right.
and they'll get there will be events for this game that cater to that group as well. I mean, and to the other outlets. It'll all be fine.
When I was doing like Web Alert like 10 million years ago, we couldn't actually upload our videos to YouTube because at that time, if you uploaded it to YouTube, YouTube owned it.
Right.
And so I have a feeling it's in more, I don't know if it's still like that. I have a feeling it's in more places than we think that there is. Now, YouTube in general chooses not to enforce that in highly public ways, but technically, they did own everything.
Yeah, I mean, as a
that went up
gamer,
there.
that stuff's probably like a million places. You'll never track it all down. This
Right.
is all under code names, and I'm sure certain forums have decided we're going to call this game this name, and you can search under that and you'll
Sure.
find it. It's you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah. I'd just be interested to see what the relationship between behind the scenes, like how Sony and Viacom have been dealing with this amongst
I'm guessing
themselves.
there were swear words involved.
Yeah, probably. And really nice suits screaming at each other across mahogany
And
desks.
and the Barbara Walters what
What?
uttered several times.
Yeah. And let's talk about a trailer that you can see a bunch of other places because Epic isn't nearly as aggressive about controlling their content. The Fortnite stuff that we saw.
Yeah, this
What
was
do you think?
interesting. This was a totally different look than the Gears,
Yep.
the Gears of War series. That was surprising. I don't know how I feel about that because, again, not into the cutesy thing.
Right.
I am. I think it looks awesome.
Well, also with zombies. So
My
there's-
favorite.
But
But it's also
it's
like
a
a
map.
tower
like-
defense.
I mean, it's some
Yeah.
resource building and it's zombies. But like you said, it's important to point out that we've seen Epic has attached its name to other things, but this isn't People Can Fly. This isn't Chair. This is
this is
Epic
them. This
making this game, and it is a drastic departure from what they've done in the
I
past.
think it's going to be fun, actually, as much as I tend to talk. But I actually think it's going to be pretty fun.
yeah, I like the look of it. I like the idea, and Trench turned out pretty well. Like the
Yeah.
action tower defense. So, and I'm sure these guys have to. I mean, if this is what they've chosen to make after 6+ years of making Gears of War games, this must be a pretty damn good idea for
Right.
them to It's just like this is your first. It's like, oh, finally, after half a decade or more of doing the same world, the same universe, the same story, we can do anything we want. What do we want to do? And if they do
Build
this, they got to
forts.
have a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Build forts.
Well,
Good.
I think it's interesting, like you said, that they've been working on this one thing for 6.5 years. They haven't announced the delivery system. They haven't announced whether it's going to be DLC or whether it's going to be a full console game, and that's something they will talk about later on, from what I understand. But Leah, I think this is more of an experiment. Like we know how to make we made $1 billion off of a console game. Let's dig a little into this DLC. I think it's going to be announced as a DLC, some DLC stuff, or maybe
Expialate or whatever.
episodic. Yeah, like this is their way to kind of get involved with that stuff. Just looking at it, I don't know if it'll be a $60 game. It feels like
It
it's going to
definitely
be really
feels
fun.
like a $15
Yeah.
play with your
Downloadable.
friends, XBLA, like make a fort, have fun for 20 minutes and then go on with the rest of your life. That's what this game seems like just from the 30-second trailer that we got to see of it. And that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I want to just be, and I don't want it to have Kinect. I don't want to have it to any of this motion. I just want to be able to sit down, make a awesome fort, and have fun for 20 minutes and then be done.
You don't want to see how fast you really have to be to run away from a zombie?
No.
Because you could just, in the living room, just running in,
Lift your legs
in place.
higher. Go,
yeah.
go, go.
My least favorite enemy from Gears is in the game, which is the wild ticker.
Really?
I hated those things. Creeped me out. And so now, that little enemy guy that you see,
Don't do the sound right now. It scares her.
I don't like it. That little creepy guy that you see the picture of in there. He apparently kind of is like a wild ticker. He goes around and steals your supplies.
Right.
I'm gonna shoot that guy. And every time I encountered a wild ticker, I had to spend, I don't know, however long it took to kill it. Because
So you're not going to be able to kill it, though. You're just going to have to throw a box over its head.
You're just so much more hopeful than everybody else.
Like Skyrim.
Yeah, and while we're speculating, I also think that what Gears did really well, at least Gears 3, was with the beta they had forever. It really, not only did it help make their game better, but it just showed just how involved Epic is with their community. I think we're also going to see a lot of community-driven maps. I think this is going to be their opportunity to say, hey, we've built this for you guys, and you gave us so much great input on Gears. Let's give you all the tools. Help us build our next game. I think that'd be a really cool move on Epic's part. And this is just me speculating, but it
That'd be
seems like
really
this
cool.
is something that they'd want to get involved in, right? I mean, they've proven themselves with console games at this point.
They like their community. They embrace their community rather than a lot of other developers who don't seem to do that as much. So I think that is a great point, and that is something that Epic could totally do. And they love their community, so they would be willing to say, well, instead of us making this game, we'll give you the tools and you can do it yourself. So
And that was always their strength with Unreal Tournament. In the Unreal Tournament Quake Wars era, it was Unreal was just, you could do anything you wanted with that thing. You could make your own maps and your characters, and people had entire teams of X-Men running around as bots, and it was that I wonder if they're maybe planning to kind of move back to that a little bit as a way of competing with the other 800-pound gorilla shooters that are hogging the market right now.
Right. I mean, Cliff said we had him on the show for our best of, and he's like, we're really excited that we won Shooter of the Year, in this field of a bunch of phenomenal shooters. And this is very unlike Cliff Bleszinski to say something like this, but because he never says this, but he's like, we didn't expect to win. So they kind of know that in that particular genre, there are other things out there that people are more excited about. So I think it's a great point. They may want to move in a different direction and do some other things. And then speaking of a different direction, Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, Transfar, what's the name of it now?
Here's a
I
here's
have
a
no
thought.
opinion about this, so I'm gonna just let Matt talk.
Here's a thought. Maybe next gen Japanese companies let the American side name stuff. Because that doesn't make any damn sense. I mean, I remember, I think we've told this story before, but there was a point where I think we asked the guys who made The Last Remnant, why is it called The Last Remnant? And they're like, oh, they bring us a list of English words they think sound cool together, and we pick what we want our title to be. And I'm like, well, that definitely explains
that definitely explains Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Revengeance, and
Man, we
things
can't
like,
choose between revenge and vengeance.
Let's just put them
guys
together.
have an
Funny,
idea.
in the trailer, though, it said revenge and vengeance, and then it just collapsed them together. And it was like, oh my God, really?
That's a Kojima tradition of taking two things. What's this? What's this? Put it together. Oh, we got it.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I love Platinum stuff. I think Vanquish was very good. I think Bayonetta was very good. And if this is the same kind of thing with a cyborg ninja, bring it on. Sure.
I think we can expect to see Bayonetta style. I mean, that particular
looks like
character,
it from the video, yeah.
That's the kind of combat that it represents.
But how come he can slash through people and he can't slash through robots?
The robots are made of metal.
Robots
But
are made of adamantium, and so
But
are
he can
his- so
slash
is his-
through everything. Their adamantium
Maybe he's got a lot of
armor.
robot parts, and
so why can't they slash through the road? That just drove me crazy. I
maybe
hate
he's
that.
got a lot of robot parts, and he's just being respectful of his.
I'm
well,
sure you have to
he
build
should
up
be more
your,
badass.
I'm sure you have to build up your meter or whatever, and then you can do better moves or super moves or whatever that will cut through the robots. Because he did cut legs off of those things in
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
So he should have done that in the trailer. It would have been awesome.
Yeah, I think that also where it represents quite the departure from the the tactical stealth action that this series is known for. I mean, do you see him sneaking around at all in this game?
He's more of a shock troop.
Yeah.
He's
really.
a jumpy guy.
I don't
I'm gonna
need any more
just press the
sneaking.
jump button.
I snuck a lot in Guns of the Patriots, and I'm gonna take a break from sneaking.
Yeah. I love that. One of my favorite games that a lot of people probably didn't play. I loved Afro Samurai because you could do what he can do in this game, and that is throw somebody in the air and then pick the ways that you want to dismember and disembowel this person. And I think that's going to be a part of this game and something that Platinum does really well. So I agree. What does this do for me? I thought that Bayonetta 2 is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So where does this put the development of that game? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know if Bayonetta 2 is a no-brainer. It didn't really sell that well.
But there's enough people that really enjoyed it. I think
There's enough women cosplaying.
I think this might be the hit they make to get
onto Bayonetta
2. Maybe. I mean, that could be the way they're going with that.
That's pretty interesting.
It's like you got to make the big blockbuster hit, and then you make the little indie movie. You know?
Soderbergh, you got to make an Ocean's 11 or 12 or 13 and then make a movie with Sasha Grey.
And then sometimes you make reindeer games. That's just mean.
I don't want to talk about that. Although you did get to see Charlize's boot. Never mind, ladies.
Never mind.
There's Morgan, Command and Conquer. This is a series that you know quite well, and there's some big announcements.
I've loved Command and Conquer games. We haven't, we've had a little bit of a lull in it. I think that's okay because we weren't getting maybe the highest quality Command and Conquer games. So now we have enough.
Uh-oh. She's got the look. I know that look. I've known it for years. You don't want to be a part of it.
Command and Conquer Generals to BioWare. It's kind of exciting.
It is exciting. But how much BioWare does story really well? I don't play a lot of Command and Conquer games, so I'm completely ignorant to this franchise. But how important is a BioWare story in a game like Command and Conquer?
Well, Command and Conquer did like its stories. However, I skipped it. I don't know about you. I hated when they were so cheesy. When they did like the live action stuff, it was just awful.
Live actions. I know a lot of people have like kind of a nostalgic love for the live. I just couldn't do it.
I just can't because until StarCraft 2, you weren't really in it for the story anyway. It was just levels.
Right.
And so I would just skip. Oh, I hated it. It was just like, I thought it took away from the game being sort of a serious RTS. So I think that'll hopefully help. I hope to God it is not live action, but...
Didn't they do that in the last one?
Yeah, who was
the
it?
last
Was
two,
it
I think, were live
Jerry
action.
Ryan? Or
Yeah.
I remember interviewing her at E3 about the project, and she was so unenthusiastic about her participation. I was like, "This must suck." Like whatever.
I think it was God, I don't even remember. I think it was the last two that were live action, and it was just, I don't know. I mean, StarCraft 2. I mean, that was like macho cheeseball to an extreme, also. But for some reason,
It was fun.
It was fun.
And also,
You don't play an RTS game for the story, and it sounds like you don't play this RTS. I have never played one, so I mean, I've never played Command and Conquer, so I don't know. But if you're not playing it for the story, then why is it a big deal that BioWare is involved?
Well, that's
Well,
the
that's
thing.
the other
That's a
thing.
great question. Is like
I think there
BioWare.
could be
Why bring
interesting
BioWare
story.
on?
Well,
why
actually,
bring them on board? Is it too?
Did they bring BioWare on board? Because isn't this an LA-based studio that's basically being called BioWare LA or something now? Like, is BioWare, as we know BioWare, involved in this in a legitimate manner, or is this just like BioWare makes games that do well, so we're just going to start calling our studios BioWare?
Well, I
they
mean, they're
seem
probably
like they're-
getting a percentage of the money, you know, by licensing out their name. However, they do also need to protect their brand.
Right.
So I feel like
And you
are
know,
gonna
Ray
watch
and
it a
Greg,
little bit.
they don't open a studio or put their name on a studio unless they're passionate about whatever game they're working on. Like BioWare Austin, I mean, he's got that tattoo on his arm that I have no opinion about whatsoever.
Not at all.
But you know, they don't put their names on studios
Well, we
that
hope.
make games they don't care
hope
about.
not.
But I just,
But Command
I
and
wonder.
Conquer is like a series that people are passionate about.
Sure.
So I can see them having passion for the Command and Conquer series.
Yeah, I can see them saying like, "Hey, these games should be better
They
than
should
they've
be
been.
better.
So
They should
let's
be better.
let's do something. Maybe you got the Old Republic done. What do you want to do? What's your dream project?" And they're like, "Let's make Command and Conquer not suck." And,
I don't see that being the conversation they had, but you know,
I'd like it to have been though.
their RTS pedigree too. I mean, it's not something that they've
Command
really
and Conquer's
ever
been
done
stalling
before.
out for years. I mean, remember
Yeah.
Tiberium?
Yeah.
No one remembers Tiberium because it didn't come out. And like it's I mean, Generals had promise, but they just never went anywhere with it. It was kind of like a day late, dollar short, and then they got strung up in that Battle for Middle Earth series that I liked.
I'm
but
like, I
think-
liked Battle for Middle Earth.
I-
It wasn't very deep. The reason I like Battle for Middle Earth is because you could only build your buildings on like a certain little area on the circles. So there was no thought to it. Like it was very
No.
like if you were tired or you wanted a quick game, like kind of mindless game, like you played.
But it
you
had the
played Battle for
music
Middle Earth.
and Ian McKellen told me what to do. So
Yeah.
it was awesome.
That made you.
No, I actually really liked that game, and now that
I
you
like
mentioned
that
it,
game,
I
too.
kind of want to go and play it again. If I can
It's like when
find
someone
it.
mentioned Zoo Tycoon.
You are literally the only person in this room with that feeling. I can assure you of that. And do you... kids, man. You kids, I don't understand.
You guys like Pokemon too, don't you?
Yep.
Oh my
What do you
God.
think? Do you see that new Pokemon
You don't
thing?
like Pokemon War Web?
I do not like Pokemon.
Did you see that new Pokemon thing? From
Yes,
the
I
Japanese
did, but we're not
magazine?
talking about that. We have to get to Star
Crazy.
Wars.
We're not talking about
Because when I
Pokemon
was
today.
looking at
Pokemon,
Pokemon was
crossing
for
over with
kids.
Nobunaga's ambition. It's crazy, people. Look it up on the internet. Google that.
I can't even spell that to Google it, man. Send me a link.
Nobunaga.
Can you send me a link? Do you...
It's on G4TV.com.
There you go.
There you go.
Do you... Now, Leah, somebody who doesn't play this series, maybe this is why they did it, but knowing that a company like BioWare is attached to it,
No.
are you not going to be interested? No, you're not.
Sorry, I just don't think that story needs to play an important role in an RTS game. I want to kill the other person's base, and I don't care why.
But did you play StarCraft?
Yes, but I played the campaign and I beat it and whatever. But I want to. Those games are made for me, in my mind, for the multiplayer component, not for the single player. So there's no point in having BioWare spend all this time and money to make this story mode of this game awesome when that's not. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the main focus of this game. It could be, but I'm guessing that it's going to be a multiplayer-focused game. So why? And people that play multiplayer are just going to skip all those cutscenes.
I'm
But if it has
inclined to
great-
agree with her,
Yeah.
but you could replace RTS with MMO and apply that to older public like 5 years ago, and you would have been wrong.
But
Yeah.
I think it's
But
like
we'll see.
if
I mean,
you,
We'll see.
why not put it in there for somebody who wants it?
I
It might
agree, but I
change
just
the
feel like the
minds.
people, the amount of people that will want that are not as big as the amount of people who are going to want to play Command and Conquer for the multiplayer.
But maybe they're gonna bring in a new audience who maybe thinks who hasn't.
You're right, they might.
engaged in an RTS before, and maybe they're
I
like,
doubt
oh,
it,
I want.
but
to-
you might.
That's probably part of it. Is they're just like, let's aim for the people who aren't addicted to StarCraft but do want to play an RTS, which
Yeah.
you would think is not that large of an audience, but who knows, you know?
And that's like when with the StarCraft 2 expansion coming out, they're still bringing in more story to that, but it's a really small part of that expansion. The main part are the new multiplayer units that you're going to get to play as. That's what people care about.
But I think some people, honestly, like we think of everybody wanting to play online multiplayer. Some people maybe want to play a single player RTS.
Yeah, people like
There
the fluff,
are.
just like Warhammer.
Play
Like
on
people
Innovations.
people love the fluff, and they love the everybody.
I
You know, even if
enjoy
you're
a
even if you're
single
just a multiplayer person on StarCraft, I think you know who Jim Raynor is and
Yeah.
the Queen of Blades, and
Right.
that lore. Even if you want to skip the cutscenes, is kind of part of the StarCraft.
It definitely is, and I think that I'm not saying BioWare is not going to do a good job. I just don't think that they're necessary.
Mhm.
That's
I
all.
also I would
I agree.
say, even though I have liked some Command and Conquer games in the past, I would say that they're working with a more difficult to make interesting lore than StarCraft is.
Right.
Shall we say?
Well,
Right.
it was always, I think, treated as something funny and not serious.
It's always been a little
Tongue-in-cheek,
tongue in cheek about
yeah.
even the first game with the news reports and the
yeah.
the mag-
the
yeah.
news reports, Lord, those were awful. Because
and if you watch them now, they're this big
Right.
on the screen. It's just I don't know. I want to give a shout out to the guys who made the Sonic CD Xbox Live Arcade game, because somehow they blew up that little video, that FMV from the Sega CD of Sonic running, with the animation thing. They blew it up to 16:9 720p. I don't know how you did that, but that must have taken a very long time. Well
Black
done,
magic,
sir.
man. Black magic. And thus endeth the longest Command and Conquer conversation ever had in this building. Ever in the history of this building.
that is not true, because
Right
Matt
there.
and I have talked about Command and
we've-
Conquer way
we've
longer than
done-
that.
That might have been in San Francisco. I don't know if that was in this building.
I want to get into...
Kneel before Zod.
I do want to get into the fan feedback, but just quickly, the last game I wanted to touch on, Obsidian making a South Park RPG.
I think this is going to be awesome.
I was scared when I heard that Obsidian was attached at this point really to anything, but but then I saw that the 5 classes are Wizard, Rogue, Adventurer, Paladin, and Jew, and that made me realize that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are heavily involved in the
yes.
production of this game, and that makes me happy, and I think this game's going to be
Oh yeah.
fantastic.
Well, the Game Informer article has things where they sent them to a cave to go get a thing for, and Matt and Trey are like, they wouldn't do that. That doesn't work in our universe. Have them go to the video store and get like candy. Or
Right.
something. They're very heavily involved. They're using their voices. Obviously, they're using all the assets. And I don't know if you've seen the screenshots of this thing.
Looks
but
like a cartoon.
It looks like a shot
Sure.
from the TV.
Yeah, aren't they?
It's
They're
crazy.
using the animation process,
Yeah.
right? I mean, as
gonna
much
be
as they
the-
can.
and it plays like like Mario and Luigi, like the kind of the action based,
Right.
timing based combat. It could be great. Could be great.
My favorite part of that article, too, because I read it, was they were like, when they're building out the world map, Trey and Matt, in all the years they've been doing the show, they're like, we don't actually know where Cartman's house is in relation to the school. So they literally, in building out the world map, they finally figured out where everything is in their show after, over a decade of being on the air.
Because you just show the house, like you don't have to.
Yeah, we never knew how far they had. They're like, Cartman has to walk a lot of places now that we think about it. But I think the game's going to be great. I mean,
It looks fun. It looks funny. Can't go wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
you can go wrong, but
But if they just keep it simple, it'll be fine.
don't try to be what you're not. Keep it
They
keep
should
it true
straight
to...
up copy Mario and Luigi. That would be fantastic. Except they could leave off the bean drink thing. That was just odd.
bean drink.
You had to back me up here. You had to collect these beans, and then you had to put them in a shake. Go to the store, and then you had to blend them into drinks, and then they would give you perks.
I don't
Right.
know if I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
You had to play 100 hours to get to that point.
Yeah,
so
then
whatever.
then I did not get to
I didn't
that
get too
point.
deep into it. I guess
I love that game so
Wow.
much. I think I probably put 100 hours into that game.
I just
Must
learned
have.
something new about you.
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. The second one, not as good.
Unbelievable. What was that Double Fine game, the Halloween game?
Costume Quest.
Yeah,
I think if they
Costume
did a
Quest.
Costume Quest
yeah,
style,
that's similar to what
I
we're
think that'd
looking
be
at, I think.
fantastic. That's just my 2 cents, though.
Gotta be better than that N64 shooter.
That's the one
Oh,
they
yeah.
actually in the article they were listing the
Hated
games
that
they made,
game.
and they're like, I think did we do an N6? Like they didn't even remember because those they'll admit they're like, we wanted to make money. We weren't involved in that stuff at all, but now they're at a point where
Well,
they're
that
like,
was what
we got to
they're-
do something different.
Early on, you'd see them in interviews, and they're like, "What's your plan?" It's like, "Oh, our plan is to sell out fast and hard."
Yeah.
like it's just like go, and then almost 15 years later, like, "Oh, this is still going." All right.
I mean, they're winning Emmys, they're winning Tonys for
My
the Book of Mormon.
grandma
They're like, why not
loves South
win?
Park. I think that's one of the best things about her. She just loves South Park. She's like, you go over and she's watching South Park all the time. It's like, are you kidding me? You're my grandma. You're not supposed to watch South Park.
Well, and I love that. Like, there's little things that it influences that you and like I got the Looney Tunes crazy Blu-ray set they just
Yeah.
put out, and that song with the owl, "I Love to Singa,"
Yeah.
is actually on there, and I guarantee you it's only on there because people know it from the first episode of South Park and it's the song that the aliens make people sing.
Really?
That's taken from an old Warner Brothers cartoon, and they restored it for this collection, and I'm pretty sure that's because everyone knows it from that South Park episode.
You guys, I'm just saying that we haven't even talked about Star Trek yet. I mean, Star Wars.
Oh no,
whatever.
we're good. We're good. We got.
We're not going to talk about
We got-
Star
no,
Trek.
we're not gonna-
What's this?
Yes, we are.
so
I am
hopeful.
here to talk about Star Trek.
We're
so in episode
actually
17.
We're giving away something very special today, and because of that,
Can I have it?
we have one question.
Can I have it?
You have one at your desk already. Selfish,
You
greedy
did this
bastard.
already.
We're giving away this guy right here, the Cynic Guard from the Old Republic, to one very lucky viewer for your Old Republic related question, and
Okay,
that
I do have
question
one.
by Jungan. I told you you did.
Importantly.
Jungan, because Gungan would have pissed off a lot of people. How long do you think it will take SWTOR to go free to play? I say 6 months.
I
say-
say 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
Not gonna happen,
Not
buddy.
going to happen. Not anytime soon.
We have played enough of it, I think, at this point, the early access too. It's not necessarily a game at this point that will benefit from microtransactions. So I think the business model is going to have to be subscription service. I think we can all agree on it.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there a way you could make it free to play? Sure.
Yeah,
Anything
absolutely.
can be adapted
I
to
would
that.
just I
But-
would so much rather pay my money and get everything versus having to pay $1 for this. It just seems
Sure.
like there's so much more thinking about every transaction that
Yeah.
doesn't.
I just don't
appeal.
think it's going to need to do that.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's no way. Before the game is out, over 1 million people have already played it. There's no reason for them to ever make this game free to play as long as they're making any money from it. There's just it has so hyped. There's just no reason for it to be free
And
to
they
play.
will. It's too many people are interested in this thing.
Yeah.
Sure, and the story, and this will be a great segue into actually talking about the game. And so let's just get into the game. But the story itself is, speaking of BioWare, is so well done that although you're on fetch quests a lot of times, like
It is an MMO.
yeah, but the story it's so involved and personal that it's like, I know it's a fetch quest, but I'm having to just really push down this Republic uprising in this cargo bay, and I have to collect a couple bomb parts on the way. But I'm incentivized to quest and win these drops and things like that I wouldn't want to buy. I wouldn't want to spend extra money to just get like an orange lightsaber. I'd rather go through the quest because the story is actually really fun to play through.
Going into this game, so many people already know this about me, but I wasn't really on the Star Wars bandwagon. I was like, whatever, it's going to be the same as everything else. And just the story part alone is really, really interesting to me. And I skipped all the dialogue in Skyrim, I usually skip it everywhere else.
You did not.
I did. And I said
all those voice actors, all that hard work.
Exactly. And I'm like, whatever. I play games to get the loot. Like, that's why I play. Don't care about the story. No, like, just give me more levels, give me better items.
Just play Torchlight constantly then.
Dude,
you don't have to worry about dialogue.
I love Torchlight, but I'm saying that this game, I actually really love my character, and I really am enjoying going through their storylines, and I do read what they say, and I didn't think I was going to do that. So I just think that that's really well on them because I've never done that before.
Are you an Inquisitor?
I'm an assassin.
Assassin now?
I mean, the Sith, the story is phenomenal, but more to BioWare's credit than anything else, again, we've been playing it for over a week, and, there are server queues in the early access that they have since, they've taken into consideration, they're fixing. I'm sure it'll be no concern in the future, but the main thing is that this is by far the most fully fleshed out and working MMO launch I've ever played.
It's kind of surprising, actually.
I mean,
I think they did really, really well. I think Rift did a really good job, too, and you can't discredit Trion Worlds because they also had a really, really great launch for their game. But the SWTOR launch has been great and good,
I only
good
encountered
job.
one guy caught on the floor so far. Whereas in WoW, that would happen all the time.
I've encountered a number of bugs where, like, I just click a move and it doesn't work right away. I have to click it a few more times and then it works. And it's like, well, the game's not out yet. Like, whatever.
Sure.
But I feel like in Skyrim, so many people overlooked that, like, 3 weeks after the game was out.
I agree with you so much.
So
You can tell because I was yelling. It was like writing in all caps.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, part of the reason that some of the moves are buggy is because it's an animation-based system, and that's one of the things I had to relearn when I started playing. It was like, I can't just queue up a bunch of things and click through. Like, my animation will be interrupted if I, continue to queue up these moves. But let's just talk about quickly the launch itself. I mean, personally, again, I just feel like there are certain things that are wrong with the game, but we've made a lot of fun about the fact they've been teasing this game for like 10 years. But you know what? Every day they put into this game was worth it because it launched. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's rock
that
solid.
was just a PR misstep, I think. I
Sure.
think they were probably expecting it earlier than than we got it. I mean, we expect them to work on it that whole time, but I think PR was like talking about it so much that by the second year at E3, we're just like,
all right,
Okay,
ready.
it's gonna happen.
seriously? I have no
Like,
more
if you're not
questions
handing us a
about
copy of
this.
this on the way out, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
But-
But I don't know. I think that it's good, but for right now, I think that it does have a lot of problems that I think that most people aren't willing to recognize. But I think that a major demographic for SWTOR is us, like hardcore people or really big Star Wars fans. Like those are the two. There's not like a middle group. So, and for the Star Wars fans, like my uncle's biggest Star Wars fan I've ever met in my life. If he were to try to play this game, he wouldn't be able to because it's so confusing and they don't offer a tutorial in the beginning levels. And I think that just they missed a really big opportunity there with this game by not having like that first like 5 to 10 levels being all tutorial.
I think they are to some degree.
I don't agree with you.
Well, I think as long as you read the tooltips and you have someone to ask.
But there's
You're okay.
so much
The
on your
thing-
screen that you don't know that they're tooltips.
Well, I think the place it really falls apart is once you get past the first 10 levels and go to the fleet.
Yeah.
And because once you get to the fleet, then you're introduced to they throw PvP at you, they throw crew skills at you, they throw
Crafting,
advanced classes, they throw the skill tree at you, and none of it makes any sense. If I hadn't already played a lot of Warcraft and some Star Wars Galaxies and other games in the past, I would never have figured out that crafting
I just feel
system.
like
That
it
crafting
needed-
system needs a hand-holding, step-by-step, color-coded guide.
I feel like the entire game, low level, needs that. Like, I don't want to take away from it. I think it's a really good game. But even like a game like DC Universe Online had a really like the first 5 levels was here's how you open your bag, here's how you loot things, here's how you use your skills. And it's so stupid and dumbed down for people like us who actually know how to play video games. For the other people who don't, I just really feel like Star Wars needed that.
You should probably have like an easy mode.
Yeah.
Kind of
Or
a,
something.
beginner
And
mode, like in the sense that, like, because like you say, you're probably, I mean, part of their target here has to be people who've never played
Yeah,
an MMO
exactly.
before.
It's got to be Star Wars fans,
Yeah.
like Leah said.
But World of Warcraft did a horrible job of
Yeah,
that
they absolutely did. But in Cataclysm, they went back, and now they have a really hand-holdy tutorial system for those first 10 levels. So I just feel like BioWare totally missed an opportunity here to get even more people playing, because the people who don't know what they're doing for that first 10 levels are going to be like, well, I just don't get it. Like, I
Right.
don't get how to play this game. And the starting zones are massive.
Right.
So that doesn't help either when you're walking for 20 minutes
Sure.
from quest to quest.
Yeah, I mean the DC universe. I mean the starting zone, like the Brainiac ship or whatever ship is in, that was great because it was
Yeah.
self-contained. I agree with you in that. Again, I've played an F ton of MMOs, and there were parts where I was like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to
Like,
do right now.
I
But
can
will
train my companion. I didn't know how to do
But the
what?
good news is that, and we talked about this earlier, the community, like
Yeah.
using general chat to ask a question in
So
Warcraft
far.
is
Oh, no, that was-
is terrible. It's a terrible idea because you're going to get nothing but eviscerated by every single
I would
person.
rather-
The community, though, right now,
They're
pretty
nice.
helpful, pretty
in,
nice.
In Warcraft, like I would rather spend an hour looking something up online or running around looking for it for myself than ask general chat.
Sure.
I would rather just spend an
You
hour of
don't
my
love
life
Chuck
in misery
Norris jokes?
Over and over.
over and over.
The
But
old days of Barons chat.
Yeah.
but this is so far they're helpful. However, I think that's because it's pre-launch
early
and nobody
access.
Yeah.
nobody knows, so no one's gonna be like, "You're an idiot for not knowing."
Yeah.
Right.
I
Give
saw
it a-
I
give
saw
it a
my
month.
first I saw my first idiot comment last night after the servers went back up for the launch. It was someone asking about the pre-order, the collector's edition content because they weren't showing up in his mailbox, and somebody's like, "Are you sure you put the code in?" And he's like, "Yeah, I put the code in, you idiot." And everyone's like, "All right, we're not going to help you."
Well,
Like, that was
the one idiot moment that I had myself was you have to, instead of just your mission items being in your inventory, they're in their own little mission
Little
items
slot.
area
Right.
that took me forever to find. And I had to ask general chat, and I'm like, how the hell do I do this mission? I know what I have to do. I know I have to right click on a stupid item and scan this guy, but I can't find this item.
Right.
I just felt like such a retard, like that whole part, and it drove me nuts.
Why do you think? Why is it that the mission item bag has 8,500 slots and my actual inventory bag has like 12?
Because they don't want you to sell. I mean, because that was always a pain in the ass in WoW. Like you had all this bag space, and half of it was taken up by quest items that you have to like go to the other continent to turn in. And you're
It's a
just
good
like,
idea.
forget
They
it.
just needed to explain it.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is a good idea. I was like, oh, look
And
at
another really cool thing in Star Wars is you can have your companion sell all your crap like you can in Torchlight. Another game that I love that I
Yeah.
already said earlier.
Yeah.
But that I think that is something that's new for MMOs, and that is something that should definitely catch on. I feel like.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty good about like in SWTOR about like making things more or less easy for you if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
I do think I would also like. Can I make the UI smaller? Like the menus in it, like the
It's
the bar
huge. It
things
takes
everywhere.
up your whole like monitor.
You
It
guys
just
just
is.
mean,
need
these are-
bigger monitors.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
I really don't.
Yeah.
It's a resolution thing. Like the bar should really shrink a little bit based on resolution.
These are all people are going to mod the hell out of this game
Yeah.
though. And
Yeah.
these, I mean, all
well,
the
right
stuff
now
that I
no
used
mods
in,
are allowed.
all the
so-
stuff that I used
Really?
in really.
Yeah.
They're going to open that up. Then
They
they
have
have to
to.
at some
Eventually,
point.
probably, but once they get
Right.
the game stabilized, I mean, WoW
Right.
didn't have me at first either.
Right.
But like, it's that's
It
I mean, it's
needs
little
mods.
things. It needs some of that.
I mean,
stuff.
the majority of stuff I used in WoW did not come from Blizzard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was all stuff that I downloaded
yeah.
from other
And to
places.
be fair, a lot of that stuff that we used back in the day is now
Part of it, yeah.
of the
Sure.
game. You know,
Yeah.
Quest Finder is a little redundant
Or
now.
Quest Helper.
I'll tell you what,
Quest
though,
Helper.
man.
Quest
Helper. Oh, I love Quest
Yeah,
Helper.
me
I
too.
need the one thing WoW spoiled me on that they don't have yet. I want a dungeon. I want a dungeon queue
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
bad, man. It's I would love that. But I'm glad that you said the companions thing. This is probably the companion edition is probably my favorite part
It's
of
really
this game
cool.
because, and they've said themselves, like Ray and Greg, they said, listen. It's an MMO. It's in the title. It's multiplayer. Like we want you to play with other people. But this is all about, truly is about your journey in this game. And we recognize the fact that we want to keep the difficulty level up. So providing you with a companion that you will also eventually start to
Well,
care about, like you care about your
I-
character, I think is a fantastic addition because, and
Or
you,
try to sleep with if you're Blair Herter.
I vet. It's almost time, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
It's soon. It's soon. But and maybe Quinn. I don't know. We'll see. But
I was
just,
talking to Matt about this the other day in our guild chat, and I said, why is this a MMO? I can do everything solo with my companion because he's so strong.
The heroics and the flashpoints,
And
though.
yeah, then
trust
I
me.
got to the heroics and the flashpoints, and I'm like, oh, just kidding. Like now I see why I
Right.
need a group. But to be like a caster melee person and have a tank with me all the time is awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
love it.
I'm a melee DPS and I have a healer, but I think that's the great, and they found a good balance, and they'll work it out over time to where it's better. But there's enough heroics and flashpoints to incentivize you to play a massively multiplayer online game. But it's still, if you wanted to play it by yourself, there's a ton of content there, and the story, as a Star Wars fan, and is fantastic.
I
See,
don't like
I'm
how
not a
everyone's
Star Wars
mean to
fan.
me.
But I'm mean to them right back. So they're all mean to me. They're all and I'm like, you, and just like kill all your friends or whatever. Like I've never played an evil person in like any game ever. I'm always like 100% good side. And this game, I just am all evil all
And
the time.
the
It's
female
awesome.
Sith Inquisitor has a great evil voice too.
Yeah.
She
sounds
The
hot.
voice
My girl's
performance. I mean, yeah, biggest
girl's
voice,
hot, too.
Yeah.
biggest voice acting project ever in history. It's like 3,000 speaking roles, and pretty much all of them are dead on. Like all the character voices, the player character voices, great. The one, although that Jedi you run into at the end of the first Flashpoint, not sure about that one.
I didn't do a flashpoint
Black
yet.
Talon, that is that Twi'lek Jedi that shows up. She's like,
Yeah.
I will stop you because I am a Jedi. And you're like, only had the janitor for that day, huh? But
That's a great example of the fact that Matt and I tried to run that flashpoint by ourselves.
Yeah,
Couldn't
didn't
do
work.
it.
Yeah.
Had to get some strangers.
Amazing.
Like they forced us to play with other people, and
I
that's
hate playing with other people so much.
I
well,
know,
once
but it's
you get your healer up to spec,
Oh
we
my
need other
God,
people.
okay.
maybe
I'm
you
on
guys
it.
can help out a little
If
bit.
I was able
Because
to
the
play
boys
and
all
not
pick
waiting,
damaged people. Yeah.
waiting in
damaged.
queues, I am usually damaged. I had a warlock, but
We need a healer.
Yeah,
Wow,
we go
but-
around and say
Well,
what kind of characters you have.
They are saying that the Inquisitor is a lot of warlock, a lot of shaman to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you might not
No.
find it too alien.
I'm an Inquisitor, and the boys are trying to convince me to go healer.
We need one though, really bad. I gotta.
We do.
I
And now
mean,
that
Wait,
Eric,
is
now
this
that
'cause I'm
Eric
the
went
girl?
sniper.
it is.
Yes.
You're more,
No,
you're
it's
more
mainly
charitable.
because
you're more
Eric
generous.
went sniper instead of operative, so we have no
Yeah.
healer.
And I have a Sith. Well, I made 7 characters, but right
Yeah,
now
you
I'm
did.
leveling my my Sith warrior marauder right now, and it's again the first, like you said, the beginning parts of the game are difficult to understand if you don't play MMOs. But I'll say even like levels 1 through 16, when you unlock the advanced classes and start to really start to spread out your character, it's still really confusing. Like now I'm at a point where I know a lot about MMOs. I'm at level 24 now. I've got 25 different abilities to choose from.
It's-
Like it becomes a mat. Like at this point, I spent an hour yesterday just doing DPS calculations to
Yeah,
figure
you
out what my
shouldn't have
rotation
to do
should
that
be.
anymore in this day and age.
Well, and
But
Bioware
I
said,
I like doing
but
it.
look,
I
but-
hate doing
and
it.
Bioware
It's so
said
good.
that they're, for the most part, they're going to shoot to have every single class be within 5% DPS of like nobody will have. They'll never be like a 30% more than every other class DPS. So they balanced it well. I doubt I need to really evaluate my rotation the way that I have, but it's starting to get a little overwhelming. But in keeping with the tradition of Star Wars, like I'm Darth Vader. Like I want to have a bunch of different abilities to choose from. I want to force choke a dude, throw my saber at this guy, and then melee
I
the
know,
crap
that's
out of
why I
this
don't
person.
want to be the healer, because I like to force choke people.
Well, see,
or I like
well,
to
you
zap
c-
people.
Well,
I
see,
have my
that's
lightning.
Well, yeah, the sorcerer has a healing tree and a lightning tree.
So you want me to abandon the lightning and go
No,
healing?
you can
Level
do
them
both.
both.
You do a level. You can do a like a leveling build that like
Love
has
this game.
lightning stuff and has heal stuff, and then when we get to the end game, you can
I
respec
can
as a full
respec
healer.
All right.
But on the whole, though, first experiences with the game, I have to say I'm 100% for this game. I'm really. I'll keep playing. I'll keep playing
I
it.
love it.
How
It's
much
great.
have you played, Blair?
I played 1 day and 17 hours when I checked my.
Yeah,
when I checked
I'm a
last
little above that in
Yeah.
part. I think I'm like 1 day and 20 hours. Or
Yeah.
so. Just on my agent, because I'm playing an Imperial Agent sniper, which to its credit, like you get a lot of like what you want out of the movies in this game because they use all the archetypes. The one class that does not have a movie equivalent archetype is the Imperial Agent, and that's the character I've played like the first planet and a half of like most of the classes, but I've ended up sticking with the agent because I have no idea where it's going.
Right.
Because with the Sith Inquisitor, I kind of was like, okay, you got to find the relic in the tomb with the Jedi Knight. You got to be a good guy and save the Republic. And the smuggler, I want my ship back. Let's play some sabacc. But like with these guys, I have no idea. It's like imperial politics and like covert missions and this angle of the Star Wars universe that I haven't seen before. So I'm really enjoying being surprised by a Star Wars product.
So is that rogue? I mean, it's basically it's like a rogue.
No, my
she's
character
she's
is
an
a
intelligence
rogue.
agent.
But is that closest to a rogue?
No, mine is
Oh,
the
smuggler?
assassin.
Yeah, she does the
No.
cover and
My girl is like a rogue. She's
More like a rogue.
assassin.
Oh, you mean
She's
like
stealth
a
and goes up and
Like WoW
backstabs
class.
people.
No, that's her. That's
Oh,
a Sith
okay.
assassin.
I know. That's why I've been saying it for 5 minutes
No, I know.
because I know right about it.
We were on the same page.
Okay.
I thought
good.
you meant like is she the equivalent of the smuggler on the Republic
Oh,
side?
yeah.
Oh, got it.
Which she is.
Okay.
The cover
It's a
based
testament,
stuff.
though,
But
to how great the story is in this game, and that we've all played MMOs quite a bit. And I haven't grinded really. I haven't done any level grinding. Like I've
Ground?
just been playing.
I haven't ground.
Ground. I haven't ground at all. I've just been playing story for 24 levels, and it's still like I said. First of all,
I
you know it
haven't.
from the
I've
movies.
grinded.
Siths are,
I've
the
ground.
We
Sith
know
are-
about you. You
Done a
love
little bit
loot.
of that.
I haven't really done much. I mean, there are certain heroics that I'll do over and over just for the drops, but actual level grinding, I don't really do. But the story, like you said, the Sith, man, the Sith politics, they're. I mean, they
kill
all
everyone.
everybody is in it for themselves.
I don't
and I
understand
know
how
I'm
they
moving,
have any people left because they've killed. Like,
Oh, I can already. I'm moving towards the point where I'm like, "Hey, Master, you're waking up with a lightsaber in your back. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna
You
happen."
can see why
Like
that
they know that
happens.
it's gonna happen, so why do they just like? I don't
maybe
know.
they should be
It's
nicer to
yeah,
you because
that's
Well,
true.
I also like my companion, the first companion you get as an agent, like she's like a rebel and she's like, she hates authority and da-da-da. And like I wish as a covert agent, I wish she would kind of, because you can lose or gain affection in conversation with
Right.
your companions. And I wish she would understand that as a covert agent, sometimes there's something we do called buttering up. And we'd have to tell these people what we want them to think so that they give us what we want.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that I mean it when I suck up to these people. I just want
yeah,
them
I
to be
hate
good.
when they judge you during the cutscenes
Right?
based on what you say,
Yeah.
and they're like -1. I'm like,
No,
Yvette,
well,
I'm
it
trying
hits
to
me
get
now.
Yvette, you don't know
something
my
out of
Yeah, I
you.
intentions.
Just shut up. Like,
go
I
to
don't
the
really mean that.
bathroom.
We'll talk about it later.
I
Don't
took
you
your
have
slave
to
collar
pee
off for a
right
reason.
now?
I know. I thought that if I could send them, like every time I was approaching a situation in the story where I knew I was going to have to make some decisions my companion wouldn't like, I'd send them on like a gathering mission.
Really, you can do
But
that?
they can still
Yeah.
judge from far away. How's
Oh,
that
they can do that?
possible?
Oh.
Yeah. What are you doing, Vet? You're on another planet. Where are you?
And I
right
love
now?
you can also do like the hollow call. Like that's a nice thing. If
That's
you're
cool.
if you're in a group and someone starts a conversation, you can hit hollow call and you'll like pop up as a hologram
Yeah.
and be involved in the conversation. But
But
like,
see, I feel like I should be
there's
able
a-
to do that for all the quests. Just hologram. Like,
yeah, just
oh,
call
you have a
them.
quest?
It's like,
Call me.
Hey, dude, like in City Heroes, you can do that.
Yeah, that's
That'd be
awesome.
cool. But it was like, yeah, she still judges you on the hollow call thing, and I'm just like, and I'm like, what is? I just picture my character like, get away.
I'm
is my
on the
time.
phone right now.
is
No,
me.
there's no
Mom.
phone privacy in the Star Wars universe.
No,
Everyone
not
can
at
see
all.
who you're talking to.
It's so embarrassing. Every time I try to use the bathroom, she's right. I'm like, nah, it's not the time. So I take it though that everybody's going to continue to give them their money. Like we're
Yep,
all going to keep paying for
I
this
had
game.
the pre-early or the early access or whatever, and they're like, it ran out. Do you want to pay for it? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Here's my credit card.
Just go ahead and sign me up for 12 months.
Yeah,
Can I
I
get a
know.
discount if I pay 12 months up front? And then the
Can I get
inevitable.
Command and Conquer for free? If I... No, I'm just
Oh.
kidding.
It's not a bad question. So we know there's going to be an expansion. It's inevitable. So what races do you want to see in the expansion? The first expansion. What do you want to play as?
I would like to see Trandoshans, Blizzard guys, Bosk from Empire. I would like to see Ithorians, the Hammerheads, and I would like to see. I don't know if I'm getting the name right, but Anstari, Anstari, I think, or Anthari. I don't know, but they're vampires in the Star Wars universe, and they have tentacles that come out of their cheeks. And they look human, but tentacles come out of their cheeks and they go up your nose and they suck your brain out. And they call it the soup.
So they're
right.
they're going to be on the light side, right?
Yes, obviously.
It's that there's a movie back in the 80s called I Come in Peace that you need to check out. You weren't born yet, but basically this alien comes and he sticks his way of surviving is to stick a spike into your brain and then suck out your brain matter, and that's how he lives. So it's
He
it's a little
can't
along the same lines.
enjoy a nice hamburger like the rest of us.
No.
Okay.
Aliens have very specific tastes.
I would like to see actually like a race creator where you have a lot of different pieces and you can create an entirely new race. I would like that.
Okay.
I would enjoy that because there's so many aliens in the universe and the universe is infinite, so you might as well be able to create an infinite number of aliens.
I feel like that's how George Lucas now creates his new characters. He's just got like a wall of pictures of different body parts, and he just throws darts like this. And
he
then
just throws 20s at them.
throws hundreds. Little
Yeah.
paper airplanes made of $100 bills. What about you?
I think that there's a distinct lack of cute little characters in the Old Republic right now. So I would choose the Ewoks. Everyone's all super serious and everything, but imagine a little Ewok with a Jedi, like with a lightsaber. That'd be sick.
Oh my god, I would lightning an Ewok so hard.
Yeah.
He'd be dead instantly.
Exactly, but no, he's furry, so he has good armor. So I'd like to see that, or a Wampa, and I don't understand why Wookiees aren't in there yet, but I feel that the first
Wookiees,
expansion
yes.
will see some Wookiees.
I think they're not in there maybe because they were saving it for an expansion.
Yeah, me too.
because-
Like the
I think
pandas.
you'll see.
Yeah.
I think actually you'll see that. I bet the first expansion will be Wookiees for the Republic and Trandoshans for the Empire because they're arch enemies in
Right.
the literature.
And Ewoks.
And well, you can make a Wookiee and call him a Ewok with a growth problem, maybe.
It's going to be named Growth Problem.
Yeah,
Now we know who to
I'm
look
down
out
with
for.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
You're just
But,
I want to put you on my Christmas tree, like right on the top, and just have you be happy for the next 4 to 5 days. So hopeful. I like the Ewok idea too, because Ewoks, I'd like a
They
some
have
sort of like
spears.
Sith Inquisitor Ewok. You know, like, give me an Ewok with lightning powers. I just think that'd be hysterical.
I think Republics would get Ewoks and Empire would get Ugnaughts.
Ugnaughts. They're called Ugnaughts.
Yeah, the little
Because they're ugly Ewoks, so they call them Ugwoks.
No, the little they're the little guys in the engine area of Cloud City at the end of Empire. Little pig
Why
guys.
isn't Cloud City in this? Is it in this game?
It might be.
No, not yet. I could.
I want to play as Lando. That's mine. You guys
It's
make
like
every
3,000 years.
I
later.
don't care. Figure it out, BioWare. You're really good at this stuff. Lando develops time travel. They can travel through space. Why can't they travel through
But they
time?
won't explain to you how to do it as the player.
No, there will
No.
be no tutorial on time travel. It'll just throw me right in.
But only if Billy D actually voices it.
Oh,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
dude, you just made. God, it's the only thing I want for Christmas for the next 5 years now. Is that? Well, guys, thank you so much for being here and taking the time out of your holidays to be here as well. All of you have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you all online
Yep, you will.
for the next week because nobody has any work to do. And thank you guys so much for watching. You as well have a happy holidays, and make sure to check out feedback every week at g4tv.com/feedback.